Well, it's been a few weeks and Shop Dog is happy. We're finally back to work. We put a couple thousand miles on the truck, and Diesel is going to explain one of the first things we got to deal with.
So this is our sniper base. This is made to fit on that sniper. This is a factory air cleaner off of a 66 Catalina, and it fits really nice. Looks good. Needs to be cleaned up and painted. But what we're trying to do is figure out, how do we get these two bases to work? This is a 1-inch drop. This, of course, is from the factory, about the same thing. But when you look at how these two go together and the filter that needs to go in to support it, we're trying to figure out exactly, do we have to cut this and weld these two together? Where does the filter get in? So we're trying to figure out what's next on this.
But yeah, because, you know, making it all work is kind of nice. So what other things have happened while I was gone?
Yeah, you know, a couple of things we did last weekend. We got this overflow canister all locked in with nice bolts. We put in these really nice...
oh yeah, you got the nice
ARP.
ones finally.
Yeah, we found that apparently there's no threading down in somewhere, and we ended up having to take some threads off of this particular nut.
Bolt,
thanks. And these two here were the same way, so they needed to get fitted with. But I ended up putting washers on in that way. So we got those done last week. Fix was doing a bunch of painting, and
yeah, I hear pulling paper. So is it finally cured, and are we finally happy? Looks pretty good. Yeah, especially when you remember what it looked like before. Yeah, don't forget though that you're not even going to see that. That'll be under this thing.
Yeah.
oh, that's right.
Well, only time you're gonna potentially see that, and there's one over here, is when tailgate's down.
Well, if anybody looks at that and they get uppity about it, you just smack them.
Yeah, it's that clear coat. You had to be really careful. It had to go on thin coats, and if you got a little bit too much, it would kind of crackle a little bit. But
Looks really nice.
I re-sanded after I got a bunch of crackles and re-did this back in, but the top, all this came out really nice. So I'll hit it with some rubbing compound and buff it out and be good.
And then you're going to look at the interior and go, oh, now the whole car's got to come apart.
That piece will go back on that's over there, and it's going to go, oh, that looks so disgusting.
Yeah, but eventually that's not actually what's going to be there. That's
No,
just
it's
the
not.
form.
That's just the form. That
Kind of like, yes, these seats won't stay this color. That's what they are for now until they get covered. So, yeah, Shop Dog says, wow, 2 beds. I only do doubles. And then, of course, on my 2,500 mile drive, the clunk in my tranny is getting worse. So, a couple things. One, this U-joint is starting to fail, you can see. 2, I don't know if this much play is normal, but it's definitely getting there. And 3, it had been a while since I'd done tranny service, so I've got all that on order. But of course, if you want to use the right fluid, it takes time. So I just ordered the Allison filters and the Transcend from Castrol. So, well, hopefully that clears it up. These are really funny transmissions. Yeah. So, between dealing with that, dealing with the finally getting that last hose and this valve sorted out, that's my goals today. So hopefully we finally have the clamps that we want. That's that reducer that we're going to put, oh, probably right about here-ish, you know, because remember, not only is this 5/8, both sides of this is also 5/8, but that's 3/4. So we'll just do a 3/4 to 5/8 drop, no big deal. And I'm going to try to kind of hide it. Like to make it so people don't even realize we did that. So that's where I think I'm going to start right now. Okay, we just tried fitting the element out of the Impala in this housing, and the downside is the only area that it would use is right here. It'd be right up against it. So we do have to use whatever weird size this was. What would you say, it was 8 3/4 or something?
Yeah, about that.
So Yeah, I think before we cut anything anywhere, the idea here is definitely going to be, well, let's get one of those filters. Let's go from there and start. Okay, what we're doing right now is I located the center of that and took a couple measurements, transferred them onto my square, played the game. So this is the maximum dimensions that this portion of the tray has to the outside and to the inside. So that's the max. So if we transfer that over to the sniper base, you can see about half the filter is already in contact. So the next thing we're going to do is figure out, well, is it still 3 inches to here? If it is, well, then all we got to do is weld a couple support tabs out and flange this out a little bit, and we got something. So we're going to take a look real quick. Okay, so he was supporting the Play-Doh. So see, we've got a little Play-Doh tower in there. And now we're going to lift this up and figure out the length of the Play-Doh from here to here. And it is about 2.5-ish. So that may or may not be an issue. We will find out. Working on that, and then I just got told there's a problem, and I better come see.
So we're back here looking at this and looking at how nice this is gonna look in here, and Pix folded this down, and I said, wow, that looks awful now.
I told you, literally, what did I say an hour ago? You know, you're going to put this together, and the next thing you know, the whole interior is coming back out. You got to pick your, because this will come out when it gets redone just like that. So see, those match each other. Yeah. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. You just got to say it's going to be okay.
Say it with me, Cheryl. It'll just be okay.
Yeah, it's like I was saying, is it needs to match the interior ones.
She says that.
Yeah, it'll be a part tomorrow.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What?
Okay, I think they've abandoned monkeying with that because now they're monkeying with something completely different. Why is the dash sitting in here? That makes us nervous. Why is the dash sitting here?
Well, what he just figured out is
Just
that,
figured out?
well, I don't know if he just figured it out. This piece that has the crack in it can be separated from here, and we can work solely with this piece too.
See if we can repair the crack that's over here.
Well, and there's a crack
Oh, there's a
here.
crack there too.
Yeah.
Oh, and a crack.
Well, is it repairing or now just recovering?
Well, we've been watching a lot of videos, and there's a difference between recovering. We saw a couple of videos on that this morning versus, you know, painting, and flocking was another one. So
Flocking would look terrible in this car. That is
Well,
not going to happen.
I don't know how you could clean it. I mean, once it got dusty, I don't know how you clean it.
Yeah.
No, you do that to sell something.
So we wanted to see what we were in for here if we were to recover this thing.
Yeah, and with the recovering is some, if your cracks are really bad, then you have to fix those. But I don't think ours are really bad.
No.
Nope.
No, and everything we're seeing, you tear these out, you fill it with Bondo to get it nice and level, and then you recover it or you resurface it with something. Paint and texture, vinyl or something.
I would use a vinyl because a little heat and you can stretch the corners. Leather doesn't do that. Leather's a lot worse.
Leather you'd have to stitch.
Well, wait, didn't on the square body for Vice Grip, didn't they just do, I don't remember if that was vinyl or leather that they did on that square body dash.
Yeah, I don't know.
And they had a professional do it.
Yeah.
So what's that tell you?
This was going to be $1,700 for this dash to get done.
Hey, what's the worst you're going to do? Spend $100, goof it up, and spend $1,700 getting it fixed? That's as bad as it can be.
Yeah.
But what if, for $100, you could fix it?
And it looks halfway decent.
No, crap, it'll look awesome.
It'll look fine.
You guys are conscientious.
working on it.
The best part is, we don't need it yet.
That's why I want to work on it now. And
Exactly.
I know what a pain it is to get in and out. I thought, you know
That's why we don't
what? Do
need it
now.
yet.
Do it now.
ShopDog says, look at that. Paint's dried, and now we've got a bracket installed. So we put some riv nuts in there. There's a second one, but it's hard to see. So, yeah, that'll be easy to service. I left the tags on until right now just so I could keep it straight in my mind. Okay, so we were doing something else. I've been digging around. I am apparently out of those, the other end of these, so I'll deal with that later. But you can see, you know, coming from the pressure switch, that's just going to follow the pressure line. But the important thing is we now have all of the cooling system closed. I'm real happy with how this came out. We hid that 3/4 to 5/8 down here, you know, in an area where it could be serviced if it needed to be. You know, and here's the nipple off the pump is right there. We did add one support here just to keep things from vibrating. And you can see that it's all pretty nicely tucked up out of the way. So honestly, I don't think anybody will really even comment on it or notice it. It doesn't look out of place, which is the whole idea, is you want it to look like it should be there, you know, whenever you can. I mean, there's not a lot you can do about that. I mean, those just are what they are. So, all right, that's where we're at right now. Okay, we are back from Napa. We picked up some speed nuts because we need some. That little connector I need. But more importantly than anything, we picked up a couple air cleaners. And let me get all that out of there. We think this guy is going to work. So you can see, one, it's the correct diameter. It fits. When I set that down, you'll see we're almost there. If I flange that a little bit just to help it center, maybe bend it up a little, I don't see how this doesn't work beautifully. So no welding, no monkeying around, no nothing. Here, let me recenter that. You can see that's doable. I think we're in the ballpark here. Okay, what did you do here?
It's a little speaker block off plate here. It's all painted real nice on the inside. And you get some speed nuts for it. Look at that. You would never know there's not a speaker back there. If you look at it, you might see the outline a little bit, but it's all black underneath and it'll look really good.
Yeah, and it'll control airflow and dust and stuff as well. Yeah, that's gonna look cool.
Oh, and by the way, Jeff gave me a hard time because this wasn't more perfect.
Oh, okay. That sounds normal though. And then I gotta find a stud for it, but this just may actually work. This may work. The only thing we're a little worried about is how domed is this hood. Because watch this. We'll take this, lay that across. Let me come over here. See, I know the hood is domed. We don't remember how much. So we may still have further work in the future, but for now we're gonna call this solved. Okay, and then just while we're standing around, I think this is roughly where this is gonna wind up, because that gives me just enough length, because I can't change this cable length on the cruise module. But that's okay, that's gonna work out slick. And remember, the wiring that's left on here goes through one of those holes and then plugs into some stuff that's under the dash. Okay, it's time to empty this before we crack the tranny open. So this thing just makes it easier to do, that's all. I could have poured it, but I spill it every time I do that. As you can see, that pan isn't sealed. I forgot to borrow the tool for this, so I'll deal with that at a later date. But we're about to drop the pan, change the filter, and go to a modern gasket. So, and I like to use a speed wrench for it. Keeps you from screwing anything up. But like always, we'll go around, we'll loosen them all, we'll remove most of them, we'll leave a couple about half threaded in, so that when the pan drops, it geysers everywhere. It's nothing, you can just gonna make a mess, but at least we have some control. So we'll show you in a little bit. Okay, so yeah, that was a geyser. So obviously it came off this side. It's getting better now. We've got a bowl with our bolts. I've got a bolt in the back and we got a bolt in the front. This pan is still full and heavy, but it's not hot because it hasn't been running a couple years. But you just kind of keep letting whatever wants to fall. So now we'll drop her down and we'll see how the pan looks. Okay, and we're still cleaning off this crunchy cork gasket.
What's that?
It's very, very crunchy. So, nice and slow, little patience, we'll get it. ShopDog says, neighbor Jeff has something and I want it. And we're just going over the last time before the pan goes in. We got a black gasket dry. We got all our bolts started. So we'll see. Hopefully this works the way we want it to. 144 inch-pounds. Okay, now forgive us our lack of a chrome pan. You know, and it's just old. But we know it fits. We know it works. It's been torqued to 144 inch-pounds in 4 passes. So I can deal with linkage and stuff later because I do still want to change the shift shaft seal. So I think what we're going to do now is get her down and at least start the filling process. You know, you can't really fill it until everything runs, but we can get some fluid in there and let it start soaking and keep it from rusting, because it's amazing how quick stuff wants to rust. So I think that's what we're going to do next. There's a slight change. We figured, oh, we actually don't know if this works, so let's go ahead and test that real quick. I can do the GSS later, but we do want to know if we're going to be able to shift this thing or not. Okay, so Pixie is going to see, does this actually even shift? We don't even know. We're not even sure if we're all tight enough or if that cable slides. We've never actually used it. So, okay, yeah, let's find out. That felt like it did something.
Let's reverse.
Neutral.
Drive.
Yeah, well, we're probably not adjusted enough for first.
We're tight.
Yeah, but that should loosen up once we start using it. Okay, so the concept is sound. Boy, if we got to change that cable because somebody was cheap. Oh, man. It's a lot of work.
Oh, Mr. Cheap over there.
Yep.
He'll spend money on certain things, but not on others.
I thought I wanted to buy a new cable, and we ran with the one we had.
No, you went with the one we had because they were $180.
Yeah, they were expensive.
We played with it a whole bunch and remembered that we didn't actually pin that on this end and it fell off. So we gotta get this open. Well, hopefully we're not gonna break this door because we keep leaning back on it. I'm not on it.
Ollie.
So, oh, that's a big screwdriver. Uh-oh, sounds like Ollie's in trouble.
Ollie.
And see, we don't have the pin in here, and we don't even have this all that tight yet. So, because we knew there was going to be a lot of adjustment to be done, because you got to get the neutral safety switch right. We got to get all this right. So don't worry about it. We'll get it. Okay, so that kind of puts us in a good spot again. I gotta have to monkey with that when we do the GSS anyway, because if you remember, you may have seen it on other cars I've done, but we put this, it's basically just a potentiometer. You know, it's just a pot. It's right here. This will mount on the transmission, and it gets a little linkage arm over, and it will let the Dakota Digital Dash know what gear we're in. Which, even though you got the markings down on the thing down here, it's kind of neat when it also says it in the little window. So yeah, it'll show up in this little window here when he goes to park, and then it'll go away. You can see Pixie's been out here cleaning and cleaning and cleaning. Someone's got to do it, because Bushka, she's got a little bit of fur.
Yes, so all clean.
Oh, look at that.
No dog hair, because that was full of.
Well, yeah, it migrates everywhere.
Yes.
Ugh.
Got the front passenger seat digital.
Well, that's okay. That means you're almost there.
Yes.
So, yeah. Yep. Because with the weird market that we have now, I don't see them getting rid of this for a while. Why would you? Because then you'd have to buy something else, and it's $10,000 over. Everything's stupid pricing right now. ShopDog says neighbor Jeff's got something to say.
It was my idea to put that washing fluid bottle on the firewall.
See? So ShopDog wanted to get the air clear, and he wants more Pringles. It's another week in which the time really just gets away from you. Does it all the time. So for now, we've got a gallon of the Dex 3, which is basically a Type F in there. We know it's going to need more, but until we can spin the motor, there's no point in getting too crazy and overflowing a vent or anything, because it's got to pump up the lines and it's got to pump up the cooler and fill up the torque converter. So if you just keep adding it now, knowing that we can't start the motor yet, it's just going to overflow it. So there's no point in going crazy. So we did that. You just saw we got the water lines all done, and we're real happy with how that came out. Starting to look at that. Pixie's got the tailgate to a point that she's very happy. So yeah, they've even got it closed. So that's kind of nice. We've just got this sitting because it's getting close to time to get that linkage all adjusted and set. I'll do the GSS when we do that. And yeah, once the GSS cabling is run up in, we'll be in there. So I don't know about these two people playing ducky over here, but what do you guys say?
Thanks for watching.